Hello students, today we are going to study about the tissues. We have studied about cells in the previous session. So, this time we are going to study about the tissues. So, let us start with the definition of tissue. What is a tissue? As we know that cell is the structural and functional unit of life. The cells, they make groups to form tissues. These cells are similar cells, they are similar in structure and perform the same function. We know that the plant cells are different from the animal cells. So, plant tissues are also different from the animal tissues, right. So, what are the different types of plant tissues? Let us start with the objective. To identify parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma tissues in plants from prepared slides and to draw their labeled diagrams. Let us look into the divisions of plant tissues. Plant tissues are basically of two types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues are the tissues which have the ability to divide continuously and they add new tissues to the plant body. They are undifferentiated tissues. Permanent tissues are derived from meristematic tissues by the process of differentiation and they are of various types. So, here you could see this is parenchyma, collenchyma, then sclerenchyma. These are the three different types of simple permanent tissues. Why are they called as simple permanent tissues? Because they are made up of just one kind of cells. The complex permanent tissues are made up of more than one type of cells. In fact, they are made up of 4 different types of cells. Complex permanent tissues in plants are of two types, xylem and phloem. So, we need to observe the cells or the tissues of the plants under the microscope. We have selected the permanent slides. This is the permanent slide of parenchyma, a kind of simple permanent tissue. This is collenchyma, another kind of simple permanent tissue. This is sclerenchyma, the third kind of simple permanent tissue. What do we do, children? We focus the slide under the microscope. First under low power and then under high power. After focusing the slide of the parenchyma tissues, what do we find? We see such kind of cells under the microscope. If you look at the cells, they are isodiametric. What does it mean? It means that they have the same length and width, right. The cells, they are placed along each other. They have intercellular spaces also and the cell wall is thin. They have a big vacuole with a nucleus inside. These cells are living and they are found in the root, stem or petiole of the leaves. These cells have the functions such as storage or photosynthesis and protection if they are found in the epidermis of the plant body. The second kind of cells are collenchyma cells. These cells, as you could see, they have a cell wall, but what are these? At the corners, these are the thickenings of cellulose and pectin, right. So, you could say their cell wall is irregularly thickened at the corners. Inside the cell we can find a vacuole and nucleus. See, is there any space in between the cells? There is no space in between the cells. Due to this thickening at the corners of the cells, the intercellular space is reduced. Okay. These are also living cells. Where are they found? They are found in the petiole of the leaf or below the epidermis, such as in the hypodermis of the collenchymatous cells of the dicot plants. The third kind of cells, they are the sclerenchyma cells. Sclerenchyma cells, as you could see, there is nothing inside, but the cell wall is highly thickened. This thickening is due to the deposition of a cementing substance known as lignin. And you know, children, this cementing substance, they prevent the movement of substances across the membrane and as a result the cells die. That is why we find a hollow space inside, it is called as lumen. Although some of the spaces are left behind in the cell wall, they are called as pit, right. What is the function of these cells? These cells are dead, but they have a great function. They provide mechanical strength to the plant body. You may wonder what is the function of the collenchyma? Collenchyma provides flexibility to the plant body. The petiole of the leaf and the herbaceous stem, we can bend it without breaking it, right. That is why collenchyma provides the flexibility to the plant tissues. After the plant tissues, let us study about the animal tissues. Let us see what are the different types of animal tissues. In animals, the tissues are divided into 4 major types. They are epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous. Epithelial tissues are of various types such as squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated epithelium. It could be made up of simple cells, a single layer of cells, or it could be made of many layers of cells called as stratified epithelium. Connective tissues are also of various types. It can be bone or cartilage, the skeletal types, the tendon and ligaments, the proper tissues, and blood and lymph, they are called as the fluid connective tissues. The muscular tissues are of 3 types: striated, smooth and cardiac. Nervous tissues, there is no division. Nervous tissue is made up of the structural and functional units known as neurons. So, what is the objective? Objective is to identify striated, smooth and cardiac muscle fibers and nerve cells from prepared slides and to draw their labeled diagrams. How to proceed with the experiment? Let us take the permanent slides. This is voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles, cardiac muscles and nerve cells slide, right. Here is the compound microscope. We take the slide of the striated muscle fibers, focus it under the low power of microscope initially, later under the high power of microscope and observe the slide. What do we observe? We find such kind of cells under the microscope. What do they look like? They are elongated and cylindrical, right. And what are these? Alternate light and dark bands. These are called as striations. In this single cell, how many nuclei do you find? There are many nuclei, isn't it? So, these cells are cylindrical, elongated, multinucleated and they appear striated. That is why they have got their names, striated muscle fibers. They are also called as voluntary muscles because these muscles are attached to the limbs, that is the skeletal system. They are also called as skeletal muscles, right. Now, let us proceed to the next one. What are these cells? These cells are smooth muscle fibers. Can you see the shape of the cells? These cells are spindle shaped, right. So, how many nuclei are there? There is only one nucleus in each cell. So, these cells are not cylindrical, these cells are unbranched, they have spindle shaped as well as uninucleated. Where are they found? They are found in the internal visceral organs and their nature is involuntary. What does it mean? It means that we cannot control the movement of the smooth muscle fibers, right. What are the third kind of muscle fibers? So, these are the third kind of muscle fibers. They are known as cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are also elongated and cylindrical as well as branched. They have a very peculiar feature, it is called as intercalated disc, right. And due to the presence of intercalated disc, the whole muscle can contract together. Where are they found? They are found in the heart. They are located only in the heart. That is why they have got the names, the cardiac muscles. Children, are they voluntary or involuntary? In fact, they are involuntary muscles, because we cannot control the movement of the heart muscles. What do? They always pump, that is, they contract and relax and pump the blood out of the heart. Let us come to the concluding part of the animal tissues, students. Here is the nerve cell or the neuron. How does it look like? It looks elongated, right? Why is the nerve cell elongated? Because its function is to transmit the impulse. What is impulse? Impulse is the electrical wave which travels over the nerve fiber, right? That is why the cell is elongated. Now, what are the different parts of the cell? This is the cell body, right? It is also called as cyton. It has a membrane, it has the cytoplasm, it has a nucleus, and there are certain specific granules known as Nissl granules. The cytoplasm has some projections which are called as dendrite, and one of the projection of the cell is very long. It is called as axon, and this axon has certain coverings. These coverings are called as myelin sheath, right. This myelin sheath is made up of lipid and it is insulating layer. It does not allow the conduction of the impulse, but what is it? It is interrupted. So, here you can find certain interruptions are there. These are called as node of Weir. This myelin sheath is secreted by a special kind of cells known as Schwann cells, right, Schwann cells. The other end of the axon is terminated into button like structures. You can call them as axon terminal, where it is attached to the dendrite of the next neuron, forming a synapse across which the impulse is transmitted. In this way, neuron can conduct impulse from one end of the body to another end. This is just one cell, but many neurons or nerve cells, they form a nerve fiber which helps in the conduction of impulse. That is all for today, children. Thank you.